So I've amassed a small collection of black and white fabric and laces and thought, why don't I make a skirt out of all of this? Maybe a collage style tiered skirt with lots of ruffles and textures. Why not? To start, I cut out 6 strips of 44-inch black fabric, 11 inches wide. Having finally got that overlock machine, I serged the edges. Cutting one in half, they built 3 tiers in total. With the gingham fabric left over from a different project, I cut whatever strips I could and rolled hem them. So, quick note, I had actually started this project back in February, but a lot of life happened and I just couldn't do it. Okay, back to the present. And with my serger in a more reasonable place, I serged the top of the long gingham strips. For the short strips, I connected all 6 into a hardly noticeable transition. I ironed the top over to finish those up. Assuming these would be top stitched on, I gathered them slightly. I really didn't know what I would be ending up with yet. Side quest, I used a tiny crochet hook to pull in the serger tails. Now to cut out strips of the lacy fabric. The easiest method was to cut them out on the pattern repeat. Oops, this one was too narrow, so I guess a little bigger then. I like this geometric one a little less, but it makes for a good background lace. After leveling this one a tad, I cut a few of these. So far this is the mess that I'm working with trying to design. I wanted narrow strips out of this black lace and was pondering what to pair it with. Then I had an idea. I cut 2 wide strips of white fabric. Down the middle I sliced with organic curves. My brain doesn't do well with asymmetrical stuff, so this was progress in my book. I serged along the flat and wavy edges. And then came the rest of the idea. I attached the black lace along the edge, gently ruffling as I went along. I finished the sides and ironed the white fabric upward. Here are all the gingham ruffles too. Now back to the skirt base. I connected 2 long and 1/2 for the bottom tier. This ended up being 9 feet long. Thankfully, I had a vast length of this black lace to be the hem. It took positively forever to sew this on. And somehow there were still 6 feet left over. Now to continue planning the bottom tier with the geometric lace. Over that was the wavy cotton and lace. The gingham is going on top in some sort of fashion. So for the first layer, I sewed the lace together along the pattern repeat. Then I attached along the top. I left enough room for sewing the cotton and lace together separately. This makes it feel like one continuous loop. Then I realized the white cotton strips in total fit the lengths of the top and bottom tiers. I hadn't needed to finish the sides after all, but I just settled with a fancy zigzag stitch in between. The bottom tier will fit the same 2.5 strips. I repeated the process on the top tier. Coffee time! So to get in the half strip that I realized too late, I sewed along each side of the middle. That prevents fraying, and then I cut it in half. That being done, I sewed both halves on their respective tiers. With the excess salvage, I folded over the edge and continued. For the middle tier, I added a row of flower-style lace, to which I connected again the fabric and lace rows separately. Moving on to the waistband, I cut a 7-inch strip of white fabric. Remember that lace strip of fabric I cut too narrow? Apparently it was just right for this waistband. I basted around the edges and then serged it. I wanted the waistband to be a blend of elastic and drawstring. With the edge seam being the front, I sewed a gap for the ties. For the elastic channel, I sewed 1 inch from the top. The wide elastic will only be on the back, so I anchored it to the side. I created the other channel before securing the other side. I cut the elastic 2 inches shorter than half the waist. For the front, I did decide to add some thin elastic with the drawstring. That way I'm not solely reliant on tying it. I did accidentally sew the lace and had to fix that. But now the waistband is complete. It's finally time to put the layers together. After dividing the tiers in fourths, I hand sewed a gathering stitch in each of them. This was then pulled, pinned, and sewn. The middle tier needed valances, so I marked the top in thirds. The valances will also help double as skirt heights in the front. I inserted 2 D-rings in each of the 3 strips of this cute black trim. The lace was hand gathered and strips sewn. Then the top tier was added. For the gingham strips, I decided to sew them an inch above the bottom tier. I overlaid it at the same time with a narrow black lace using a decorative zigzag stitch. Attaching the waistband was a bit of a tedious task. It ended up being more chunky than I predicted, so I forewent folding the inner section over. The skirt is almost done, bearing some lace decoration. I only had a yard of this eyelet trim, so I put some in between the black straps. Unfortunately, I didn't double check what section I was sewing it and had a seam rip it. With the leftover smidge of eyelet trim, I attached along the top tier of white. I ended up not repeating the gingham on the top, but went with a collection of white laces. This paired well with the white waistband. I embellished this section with white hearts. I also added one just above each of the D-rings. To make the skirt hikes, I used this twill tape. I securely sewed 2 20-inch strips underneath the middle tier. With that, the skirt is finally done! It's been a long journey trying to finish this, but I did it! In the beginning, I really didn't have a solid idea of how this would be designed. Somehow, this still turned out to be balanced but whimsical, with material still left over. It also snowed the morning I was to film the reveal, which worked perfectly. Thanks for watching, and I'll see what I'll come up with next.